Today on the Gold Standard.
It almost seems to me like it's almost inevitable that the system is torn down or the economy goes into a real bad tailspin. I think we'll get there, but it may take time, or it could happen all of a sudden. So these are reasons why we have to make some moves now, and we have to give ourselves a chance to diversify, and we have to give ourselves a chance to survive what's coming. It's almost as if you were telling me, Dave, that the markets and our money and the dollar is like the Titanic, and gold and silver is kind of like a lifeboat.
This is the Gold Standard from Midas Gold Group with Kenneth Russo. Hello, I'm Dave Dino. Welcome to the Gold Standard, your source for secure investment opinion and information on the advantages of purchasing and owning precious metals. Whether you're a novice investor or an experienced collector, this is the program that gives you a realistic weekly perspective on the state of the economy, reliable information about using precious metals such as gold, silver, and platinum to safeguard your wealth, and remarkable details about specific precious metal coins and bullion. Ken Russo is a senior vice president at Midas Gold Group. His peers characterize him as a straight shooter who will work harder for you than anyone else. Hey, Ken, great to be with you again this week.
Yes, great to be with you and everybody listening, Dave.
Our topic is how to survive the looming recession. Suddenly, there are many articles from credible financial sources warning, and I want to stress credible financial sources. They're warning about the certainty of a recession and of another stock market drop. We have a lot of information to cover today, and later in the program, we're going to also answer the question, what if we don't get a recession in 2023? But our first headline, and I'm seeing this even today, it comes from businessinsider.com. It says, the Fed's own economists are ringing the recession alarm, and they're warning stocks and real estate prices could tumble. What do we learn from this?
Well, it could, right? But if we take a realistic view, it's just maybe inflated, right? It's been a period of abnormally low interest rates, and it's been a period of excuses to print money and to continue for the government to spend. And that's not going to stop. We're seeing a banking crisis now, Dave, but when we look at it, this is like the third banking crisis that we've seen in the last few years. It's just that the media doesn't really cover it or talk about it. As we know, the media covers certain things that they want to promote, and they don't talk about other things that they want to kind of keep quiet. But in 2019, there was a problem in the repo markets, and the Federal Reserve had to loan trillions of dollars to the banks to take care of that liquidity problem. So in essence, in 2019, there was a banking crisis. In 2020, many of the banks lost tremendous value with their shares, and then conveniently a pandemic showed up. And then that was another reason for the Federal Reserve Bank and these other central banks to print trillions more dollars, just keep kicking the can down the road. And then recently, beginning of March, there was another banking crisis where 3 banks here in the United States went under, and Credit Suisse Bank had to be bailed out. And now last night, First Republic Bank just basically came out. They said that depositors have taken out close to $100 billion in that bank, and that's another zombie bank, it looks like, and that's probably another one that's toast. So this is not an isolated instance. And could we have a recession? Well, yeah, because things are bursting. Our money's dying. Could real estate tumble? Sure. Interest rates now are rising. So something has really changed, whether you talk about Barron's or Michael Berry or Jeremy Grantham or Norio Rubini or Robert Kiyosaki, Henry Dent. They're all talking about elevated inflation. They're all talking about bubbles. They're all talking about asset prices that are going to plunge further. They may or may not be right. I don't know. The problem is that I'm not willing to take that risk with all of my money if they're right or they're wrong. What I see is inevitable. And what is inevitable is a market that is overvalued and has been propped up by fake money. So a drawdown or a crash is eventually not going to be stopped. I also see an economy that's struggling, that has been helped by printed fake money over the last 15 years. And that's really benefited the ultra elite, but the middle class and the poor are being ruined by what's going on with inflation. So I see that. And I also see the Federal Reserve and the government continue to spend and print money at historically high rates. That can't continue. And as we know, Dave, every country, every empire in the past hundreds and thousands of years that has relied on debt and printed money, their currency has ultimately failed in every single instance. So we've seen this before. The Federal Reserve Bank was formed in the early 1900s after the same bank that led the Weimar Republic, same philosophies, and what's going to happen is inevitable. So what could we do to protect ourselves from what is inevitable? And that's regardless if these people are right or wrong or how it works out. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is we have to make those moves now. You got to take some of your savings out of the bank. You got to take some of your investments out of the markets and out of stocks and bonds. And it's good to take some real estate off the table if you've made a lot of money potentially, and put it into something that's stable. It's typically hold its value in a bad market or a bad economy, and it's going to typically hold or build your purchasing power. And yes, folks, we're talking about physical gold, and there's a case for a little bit of silver too. And we're going to continue to talk about that until people realize what exactly is going on and the favor they're doing themselves, Dave, and their family by diversifying.
Okay, Ken, we are a program that talks about the value of gold and silver, and I know that you passionately believe in the value of gold and silver. How would these two precious metals then, how would they guard the value of our cash and our investments?
Well, I don't think anybody knows, Dave, 5 to 10 years from now what money's really going to look like, but we're definitely headed towards a digital system, and that means that the government wants to monitor everything we do. I mean, I would say that that's happening for sure, and we're starting to see it roll out little by little. We've talked about it many times. So number one, you're going to have a system where there's no privacy. So gold and silver offer privacy. Number two is it's always worth something. Gold, silver, it's been money for thousands of years. There's no third-party counter risk. It's a store of value, and it's always worth something. So when we talk about assets disappearing and debt crashing and then significant money lost, what could we hold on to that will always have some sort of a value? And I think will be worth a lot more in the next 5 or 10 years, as I think gold is going to be part of the next monetary system in some way. Whatever money is, I think gold is going to have a bigger part. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that too, whether other countries are starting to back their currencies with gold. And is it any coincidence, Dave, that all the central banks of the world are loading up on gold, but they're pushing paper on people? They're loading up on gold and they're pushing their paper on people. So all of these reasons gives you that much more of a reason to pull money out of paper, pull money out of the markets and put it into something that you could hold on to. That's not going to be under the monitoring system. It's private. It's always going to be worth something. It's liquid. It's pretty much the only form of real money that's survived throughout history. And I see that continuing. So with what's going on, Dave, I mean, with the debt, and with the money printing and the job our politicians and our central bankers are doing, and the fragility of the banking system and the house of cards that our banking system is, it's absolutely necessary that people have some diversification more than ever. And gold, silver is an easy way to do that, Dave. And I would ask people out there to keep it easy. Don't get lazy with your money right now. Be very vigilant. Try to convert as much as you can within reason into gold and silver, and that's why we're here. We would encourage people to get on that right away.
A reminder here that you are listening to The Gold Standard with Ken Russo from Midas Gold Group, and our topic today is how to survive the looming recession. Ken, I want to skip ahead just a little bit and remind our listeners that we're going to answer the question that's sort of on the other side of the coin. And we're going to do that in just a moment. The question would be, what if a recession doesn't happen? And what if stocks do not take another plunge? We're going to look at that in just a little bit. But first, coming up, we're going to look at a specific precious metal that you can use to safeguard your wealth right after this.
What does record high inflation mean to you? It now costs painfully more to buy most of the essentials of life than it did a year ago under the Biden regime. Your money is losing value. Sebastian Gorka here. One thing that doesn't lose value is gold, which is why it's wise to convert your savings and a good portion of your investments into gold with the only gold company I recommend, Midas Gold Group. With stocks and bonds crashing down over 20% since the beginning of the year, gold has held its value. I recommend calling veteran-owned Midas Gold Group to safeguard your savings and investments with physical gold before you lose even more. The economic signs are worrisome. Go to MidasGoldGroup.com or better yet, call 855-322-GOLD. That's 855-322-GOLD. It's gold you can hold. Call today, 855-322-GOLD.
And we're back with more of the Gold Standard brought to you by Midas Gold Group with Ken Russo. I'm Dave Dino, and our topic today is how to survive the looming recession. By the way, if you live in the Los Angeles or Phoenix area, you can actually come and visit us at our local office to meet with us in person. For the address and directions, just log on to our website, MidasGoldGroup.com, M-I-D-A-S, MidasGoldGroup.com. For those of you listening in other cities, call us directly at 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD, by the numbers 855-322-4653. Now, it's time for our precious metal spotlight of the week, and today we're talking about the 50 pesos gold coin. This gold coin has a very interesting history, as well as an enhanced value, right?
Yeah, you're right, Dave. The 50 peso gold coin, which is also known as the Centenario, it's a beautiful, majestic Mexican bullion coin. It contains 1.2057 troy ounces of gold, so it's a little bit larger, about 20% larger than an eagle or a buffalo or a maple leaf. It does have some copper in it, so the carats of the Mexican 50 peso is 21.6 karat gold. So the color's a little bit browner than the eagle is, and similar to the Cougarand. It is ideal, though, for investors, Dave, because there is an extra amount of gold in the coin. It's very easy to liquidate. It's under tremendous demand, and the supply is not really that great. So it's a coin where I think if gold does well, the price of this coin will appreciate dramatically.
Ken, why is then the 50 pesos gold coin not as well known as many other gold coins that we talk about?
Well, I mean, it's foreign for one reason, for sure. I mean, a lot of people are very familiar with the gold and the silver eagle, the buffalo, the maple leaf, but this is a coin that kind of flies under the radar. Remember back in the 60s and the 70s when the United States wasn't producing any gold, but in 1974, President Ford allowed American citizens to own gold again because there was no gold ownership for U.S. citizens from 1933 to 1974. One of the only gold coins available was the Cougarand, which we've talked about many times, but also the Mexican peso. It does have a rich history, and I think it's a great coin. And it also comes in some fractional sizes, some smaller sizes as well, but the 50 peso is very noteworthy for being, the world's first bullion gold coin. It was early to the game. A lot of people like Mexico at this point because they don't have much debt. It's a resource-rich country, and the labor situation is pretty good. So a lot of people like to own coins where the country has a strong foundation. And it looks to me like over the next 10, 20, 30 years, a lot of stuff is going to happen that's pretty positive in Mexico. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. But the coin itself, it's been a tremendous success, Dave. Just kind of overshadowed a little bit by the South African Cougarand in the early 70s. But the 50 peso, many investors are drawn to its beauty and the allure of the 50 peso and often pay a larger premium a little bit for this coin because it's very hard to get and very rare compared to all the other bullion coins out there and most of the other modern bullion coins. So if people are looking to diversify, Dave, and they're looking to get some liquidity out of the system, or they're looking to get some paper out of the stock market, or they're just a little worried about the safety of their money, gold is a great way to kind of deal with that. And the 50 Mexican peso Centenario is a bullion coin that I would urge people to look into for sure.
And our listeners, I know they can actually see the 50 pesos gold coin on your website, MidasGoldGroup.com. So I will encourage them to log on and take a look at it at MidasGoldGroup.com. Coming up in just a moment, we'll continue our topic of how to survive the looming recession with Ken Russo from Midas Gold Group right after this.
What's happening in America is frightening. Sebastian Gorka here. After the election with rampant inflation, Biden said he isn't going to change a thing. That can only mean greater disaster for the American economy, for your money, for your retirement. I recommend safeguarding your investments and savings before you lose even more with the only gold company I recommend, veteran-owned Midas Gold Group. Go to MidasGoldGroup.com or better yet, call 855-322-GOLD. That's 855-322-GOLD.
And we're back with more of the Gold Standard brought to you by Midas Gold Group with Ken Russo. I'm Dave Dino, and our topic today is how to survive the looming recession. As we have been saying, if you live in the Los Angeles or Phoenix area, we encourage you to visit our local office to meet with us in person. For the address and directions, just log on to our website, MidasGoldGroup.com. That's MidasGoldGroup.com. For those of you listening in other cities, call us directly at 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD. By the numbers, that's 855-322-4653. Now, let's get back to our topic. And Ken, I want to go back to a question I alluded to earlier in the program, and that is, what if a recession doesn't happen and the stock market doesn't take another plunge? What if we don't get a recession in 2023?
Well, and there's a possibility that we won't. I don't think that's going to happen, but I would even say another thing, Dave. What are the reasons why you own gold? What are some of the reasons why you converted some of your money into physical gold that you could hold on to? Because listen, most of the people that are listening to us today are middle class, they're workers, they've saved over the last 30, 40 years, they've tried to do the right thing, they're good people, they're patriots, they want to see this country move in the right direction. If I said to you, why do you have gold? How would you respond that to me?
Well, I would respond actually in two ways. Number one, I got very, very uneasy about the stock market, about all of the ups and downs. And I was watching my 401k and my IRA, and I was watching them steadily beginning to lose value over time. And I thought, this is not helping me. I'm putting money in, but I'm actually losing money. And I knew that gold and silver traditionally hold their value. So first of all, I did not want to lose any of what I had already gained, any of what I have already earned and worked so hard to save. So I did that. But I also knew that gold and silver are highly liquid, that if I need to call upon them, I can do so, and I can get the funds fairly quickly. So I just see it as a real protection for my family's financial security.
And I would say those are very relevant points that people could relate to. And I would also say we know that the printing of money isn't going to stop, so the value of our money is going to continue to go down. Mm-hmm. And I would say that the banking system and the monetary system is going digital, so not everybody wants to have all of their accounts and all of their money monitored. So that's something they want to have some financial privacy. Another reason why people have gold. So all of these things are coming into play. I mean, it's all kind of coming to a head. It almost seems to me like it's almost inevitable that the system is torn down or the economy goes into a real bad tailspin. I think we'll get there, but it may take time, or it could happen all of a sudden. So these are reasons why we have to make some moves now, and we have to give ourselves a chance to diversify, and we have to give ourselves a chance to survive what's coming. It's almost as if you were telling me, Dave, that the markets and our money and the dollar is like the Titanic, and gold and silver is kind of like a lifeboat.
It really is. And I saw that if we were to fall into a recession, if stocks were to plunge another 20% or more, which I think would be devastating to retirees who are relying on their stocks for their investments, for their retirement income, you've made a very good case for how gold and silver would protect them I mean, we're talking about the 25th anniversary of the movie Titanic that you alluded to, and it reminds me of the metaphor that the stock market is the Titanic. A lifeboat is gold and silver, as you alluded to. And while the great ship was so highly touted, it sunk beneath the surface, and only those in the lifeboats were safe on the surface.
Yeah, and like we've talked about before, and they could rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic all they want before the situation happened, but eventually it was going to crash no matter what when you're trying to maneuver icebergs. And people right now are maneuvering icebergs, and eventually something's going to hit. And what I heard from you is that you weren't willing to risk your entire nest egg or your savings or all of your paper on a market that has that much risk, or paper money that has that much risk, or a banking system that has that much risk, and you needed to do something about it. And one of the easiest things to do is to develop a relationship with a great gold dealer that could satisfy your requests, that's trustworthy and reliable, that has the ability to diversify you in a very straightforward, easy way, whether if it's liquid money or cash money or retirement accounts or old 401ks, but you felt it necessary to diversify because you were not willing to take that kind of a risk with all of your money that you've worked hard for. You just couldn't see yourself taking that kind of a situation, going back to your family and say, hey, listen, we're stuck here because now the market is going down dramatically. Now the economy is suffering. They're going to a digital system. We're stuck. And from what I could hear, like everybody else that's listening out there, they're looking for ways so that they could maneuver what's coming up, because it looks pretty dark. When that happens, who knows, or how long it's going to take, who knows. But it looks like it's inevitable. And you are unwilling and not willing to risk your entire nest egg on that sort of situation. So you took it upon yourself to say, listen, I need to diversify. I need to get some money out of this system. And I know no matter what, my gold will at least be there for when me and my family needs it. And in a nutshell, that's what this is all about.
Ken, that is a great warning that should drive us, I think, to the safe harbor of gold and silver. And I know that people can call you and they can get your help, your guidance on how to buy precious metals that they need. And they can find out by calling Midas Gold Group and talking with you and your associates there. And I know that you will spend the time to answer the questions that they have, whether they are a small investor or a large investor, that you will spend the time with them and you'll help them to know the process and to make the process pretty easy. I appreciate that about you.
We do, Dave. We make it easy. Develop a relationship. Give us a call. Go to the website. Fill out a form. You're not under any obligation to do anything. But for what's going on, I would just encourage people to wake up, Dave, and understand what's happening. And there's a limited amount of time to do something about it. What better time than today?
You give, I think, very timely and heartfelt warnings. And I got to tell you, I appreciate that. That is going to bring us to the end of our time together today here on The Gold Standard with Ken Russo, brought to you by Midas Gold Group. And a reminder, opinions given here are not intended to be specific to your investment strategy, but rather general information to give you a better understanding of investing in precious metals. For answers to your questions, call Midas Gold Group at 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD. By the numbers 855-322-4653. And the website is MidasGoldGroup.com, M-I-D-A-S, MidasGoldGroup.com. The Midas Gold Group is proud to be America's #1 veteran-owned gold dealer, supporting veterans' causes with a portion of profits donated to the Wounded Warriors Project and the Semper Fi Fund. So your investment in your future is also an investment in the future of those who have bravely served the cause of freedom. Again, the number to call to speak directly with Midas Gold Group is 855-322-GOLD. Ken, thank you so much for your time again today.
Nice to talk to you as always, Dave.
I'm Dave Dino, and I invite you to come and join us again next week at this same time for another edition of The Gold Standard.
The Gold Standard was brought to you by the Midas Gold Group.